Gukesh versus Keymer. The
Second
plan
versus first.
exactly, and there's a chance that that's how the game ends, but it's not completely written in stone just yet. It is fair to say that Black very much playing reactive rather than proactive chess here.
Yeah, last move by Gukesh was planting the bishop on d4. There's no good way to defend this pawn. So Keymer has to find a move that goes on the counter offense, try to get to the white pawns because he's about to drop the second pawn in the game. Bishop takes pawn is unstoppable. What's the move? You can give a check. Maybe that's the idea. Maybe there's something to be said about this. Check, king c3.
If we were playing poker or something in the future, and I'd know,
Yeah,
I'd
maybe.
know how good your hand was based on how you were fidgeting.
Or when actually I go to play. I mean, I'm planning to play in the summer. I might have given too much away of what I'm thinking. But
Yeah.
we've got moves meanwhile. So he does go in for a check. There was no good way to defend the b6 pawn, expecting the black knight, Keymer's knight, to come forward to d6 next.
That's fair. And we have options open here. We can play the king across to c. Oh, we're actually going the king up to a4. And we're going to be activating the king and pushing it further up the board. So Gukesh essentially saying that anything you do to try and improve your position, I'm going to make sure that makes your position worse. As I move in with the king as an attacking piece, of course, extremely powerful in the endgame. And Vincent will now need to think of additional resources. And frankly, Tanya, he's running out of levers that he can pull to try and achieve something out of this game. I'm not sure what else Black can try. Once the king gets out of check range as well, that's going to be, I think, at least for the short term, that's going to be it. Setting anything else up from the Black point of view is going to take 2 or 3 moves.
John, king a4 completely slipped my mind that the white king goes up the board to b5. Well, you might not want to play that just yet because knight d6 would win the c4 pawn with interest if you were to pick up the b6 pawn. So king b5
Sneaky.
would be a mistake. And I'm just wondering if Gukesh wants to repeat it once, come back to b3, or bishop takes pawn. Gukesh is in a think against Keymer. And it's such a battle, right? And I saw a feature chat there that if Gukesh wins this, he moves up to world number 4.
Yeah.
And the tournament started with his friend and his teammate Arjun. By the way, he's gone for that transformation of advantage where he's finally created a pass pawn. The tournament started with Arjun getting into Vike as the world number 4, and Gukesh might be the one replacing him right now. And there's been so much shuffling, right, John? Because Prag's moved up the rankings as well. I think he's at world number 8. He's gained about 14 points in the first 4 rounds or the first 5 rounds.
He's done very well. You just saw in the background Fedoseev moving across your screen. That's how long he was sat at the board analyzing with Fabi, by the way. They've just finished.
Opponent might go here, but usually when it's a big blunder, they tend to stay on the board or be around, even if they get up and walk, because they're too stressed to go. But would love to hear their thoughts whenever we get the opportunity. What do you think? If you had to break down what Gukesh is thinking right now, what's going on, not from the chess terms, what would be your commentary of the inner workings of the world champion's mind?
How do I shut down any residual tricks? I think is where I'm looking. So king b5 has been played, for example, but I don't think Gukesh is trying to calculate whether or not there's a 0.3 advantage to playing this move versus that move. I think Gukesh is thinking, how do I shut down all the counterplay? And if there's a move that's less winning, but instantly shuts down the counterplay, I'm going for it immediately. So, well, bishop c5 has been played, but I was thinking like, okay, bishop c5, move the king up to c6, start pushing the pawn, force Keymer to sacrifice a piece for the promoting pawn, and that should be the end of it. And Gukesh is just looking for the quickest path that doesn't involve any tricks or anything like that. So for me, king c6 makes the most sense because there's no knight checks. I don't need to worry about this. I can just blindly follow the plan and know that I'm not about to walk into anything.
Really nice instructive technique here by Gukesh, how he's used the bishop to bridge, to create a bridge for the king to go through. And also from the c6 square, it takes away the knight jumping closer to the white pawn on b4. And I fully agree. This is Gukesh just dashing to that win with the most precise play, you know.
I'm just doing that to be 100% sure.
Well, he does go in with a check first, so maybe he's not so bothered about what we're saying about the position. I am expecting him eventually to go in with the king. You definitely don't want to step up in the line of the bishop. Rook d1 check would be game over on the spot. You want to keep the king as close to the white pawn. King e5 is what I'm expecting. But after king e5, king c6, again, the black rook is tied down to pinning the bishop. You move that rook away, suddenly bishop d4 check would win the knight on f6.
Yep.
Gukesh again showing extremely precise technique here. He's going to go in with king c6 next. You know, he's done it in a good way. I think he's got reasons to be satisfied with his play so far.
Yeah, there's no reason not to go king c6 now. He's continuing to make progress. That pawn is continuing to advance up the board. And Keymer is running out of shots that he can push into this position to allow Gukesh an opportunity to go wrong.
This is the other thing that I really admire about the top players. You know, whenever we sit to analyze, to commentate, or watch or follow their games, you know, winning positions, one of the hardest things in chess to do, John, is to win a winning position. But they never lose their focus. They always find the right way forward, move after move. You know, you'll see the top guys make the best moves, and it's never the second or the third best move. You know, when they're locked in, they want to get the job done as quickly and precisely as possible without giving chances to their opponents. So many times as a player, I might have slacked, and then a few moments, a few inaccuracies, and the advantage is just completely gone. And that's the difference between a half point and a full point. The difference between going on to win a tournament like this or to get a full point and go climb up on the leaderboard, then, you know, rather than make the second best or the third best move and allow your opponent to get into the game. Rook d6, so precise, not rushing in with king c6. King c6 was also good enough, but he does it now, once the black king has moved away more towards the corner of the board.
b5 looms and is being threatened on the board. Yes, black can fork the rook and bishop with knight e4 check, but that doesn't practically do anything, unfortunately, in this position. Rook d5 check, and thank you very much. Absolutely no harm done. So the b pawn there continuing to be unobstructed. We can delay, but we cannot stop it. And that is the problem, Vincent. You start talking and realize it's a blunder. Apparently that has happened before, and the wily team behind the scenes have managed to grab a video of that exact moment happening, and it also features one of the players that are in this tournament. So let's go ahead and take a look at when they realized it was a blunder as they started. The new world champion needs to find... I think he's got the strength, I think he's got the technique, and I think he's got the resolve. So he's slowly pushing his way towards victory here, and we have a flurry of moves coming out on the board.
And he does go for the most direct path. The b pawn moved forward. At first, it looked like it was dangerous, allowing some counter chance. And in fact, the knight has arrived on d3. The bishop in c5 under attack.
You have to be very comfortable instantly converting if you go down the exchange, but I think it's possible.
And he does it. Well, if he does it, it's definitely possible. The reason I was hesitant about it, John, because it just feels like you're making a construction where at some point knight b4 could be a fork. And
I know.
And I've lost too many games like this, but of course Gukesh calculates his way through. The idea is simple, right? He said 3 steps away from...
Forecheck. King d6, rook d1, king c7. I'm probably just going to keep moving the king and move all the way to b8. And once it's on b8, I know I can get b6 in for free because both the rook and bishop are looking at b6. Maybe that's the way.
That sounds very strong to me. Just put your king safe on b8, but then... And you know what, John? After rook d7, you hide on a6. So we might see this being played out.
Maybe.
Rook d1 check. Let's see where Gukesh's king hides. I have a feeling that it's going to follow your path, and if the black rook moves down, we might find it on the a file. King c7. It's coming.
Okay, okay. So we're going for it, and then I guess knight d5 check here?
Knight d5 check. Can't you hide on b8?
Yes, you can. Well, and also like knight e6 check just runs into rook takes knight if you want to be direct. So I was just looking for like more clever ways to do that. But you're right, because you then have king b8, and then I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not really sure what's next. That might be the end of the line.
But this is so much cleaner than doing any sort of king march. If knight e6, just give up your rook for that knight, and nothing is stopping this pawn from winning the rook, and henceforth winning the game. It's incredible the amount of energy that's required to play these long battles. You know, they're playing against players who are equally strong, right there to grab any opportunity that they get. And you have to be so precise. And again, they've been playing for more than 6 hours, John.
Yeah, this is
this young generation is absolutely relentless.
And it goes to show as well, even if, let me think about it, like if I put myself in the audience's shoes here, we're too common, and that's why the world's best players continue to grind out move after move after move, basically until you almost get to checkmate. That's the reason for it, because it is just that strong.
Be precise. You're going to be able to navigate and find your way forward without making mistakes, and to have that confidence in yourself. And I think that is one of the standout factors about Gukesh, where, wow, and the moment we talk about being precise, there's an inaccuracy that happens on the board. This could be Vincent's opportunity to come back, but I'm going to finish that point. I think it is this confidence that he has.
She's not immediately able to answer, and that B pawn, at least for now, is staying on the 5th rank.
But maybe not for long, because now Gukesh can just slide one step forward and hit that knight and push that B pawn ahead. And Keymer made that move, which is 4 seconds on the clock. It's the clock that comes to play. He just doesn't have enough time to find the most challenging defense forward.
That's true as well. Despite having the 30-second increment, that does not guarantee by any stretch of the imagination that's going to be enough time to figure everything out. You might not lose on time, but you run the risk of losing on the board, of course. And now, with the rook on c6, we are trying our best to get to a point where we can finally push b6. And remember, the bishop is taking a look at the queening square as well. b6 finally comes down.
With that move of the knight jumping to b6, Vincent actually just gave a free move to Gukesh to come back with the rook and assist that pawn move one step closer towards the queening square. And how are you fighting this? Yes, you can back up.
And we asked the question, so what are you doing in practice here? And in fact, in this position, I think you just play, what, can the king not even come across to f6 because you have rook b4 check? So your pawn's not going anywhere, and you're attacking the pawn on g6. Black might be losing another pawn.
I think this is just busted now. Because you don't have g5. Bishop e7 is super strong.
I think king f6 here just does the job, doesn't it? Well, I guess if you want the rook to look at the 6th rank, then king f7, I suppose, but king f6 should just be fine, right?
Well, I think Gukesh just wants to keep everything under control and not allow any counterplay like king g3, rook h2, winning that pawn. King f6 would have blocked the diagonal for the bishop at some point. So he just keeps, he's going to go bishop g5, and he's going to plant his king on f7, and then eventually win g6, eventually win h5. Keymer is about to resign.
Yeah, I think that's got to be it, right?
And Gukesh finally takes a sip of his water. And this was such a tell during the World Championship match as well. And there we have it.
Wow. No, you're absolutely right. Gukesh demonstrating the completely rock-solid plan he had at the very end there to say, I'm putting the bishop on g5, I'm marching the king into f7, what are you going to do about it? Sure, you can string this out for another 20 moves if you really want to, but we both know what the result is going to be. And indeed, Gukesh, the world champion, manages to convert the full point against his second in round 5 of the Tata Steel Chess Masters. That was a grueling game, Tanya, and every single time we thought we had it sussed out, just that little bit more complex.